I'm not giving up.
Dress to Impress, Footwear and Consumerism in the 1980s explores the relationship between shoes and some of the larger social and cultural structures of this period. Known as a decade of excess, the bold, colorful fashions from the 1980s, including sharp silhouettes, cone heels, and high-status sneakers, were often linked to concepts of status, gender, rebellion, and success. Shopping malls, mail-order catalogues, and music videos promoted materialism and fed a generation of consumers who were obsessed with dressing to impress. Designed to reflect a 1980s mall, the exhibition takes visitors on a journey through 5 themes from the period. Dress for Success examines how the changing workforce influenced some of the most conservative designs of the decade, including Oxford shoes and low-heeled pumps. Throughout the 1980s, more women entered white-collar office spaces than ever before. They faced enormous pressure to dress appropriately and along strict gender lines, and were advised to look serious and professional, yet still attractive and feminine. These shoes by Gucci, Ferragamo, and Rain, with their low, sensible heels, represent the power shoe of the 1980s corporate workplace for women. Work Hard, Play Hard explores the colorful and bold styles of shoes available for leisure wear outside of the office in the 1980s. This obsession with material objects led to a buying binge throughout the decade. Shopping malls popped up across the suburban landscape, becoming the perfect place to shop for and be seen in the most popular new styles, whether preppy tennis shoes, riding boots, or playful flats. Jelly shoes made of PVC plastic were a popular fad in this decade. They appeared in high fashion magazines, and designers such as Jean-Paul Gaultier and Thierry Mugler released their own versions. This pair of Apollo jellies by Mugler features lightning bolt silhouettes at the heel and are infused with glitter. A growing number of shoes were also available for the fitness conscious, who embraced activities like aerobics, squash, and cross training in the 1980s. Let's Get Physical looks at how personal fitness, workout gear, and memberships to health clubs became symbols of status in this period. This cultural focus on physical perfection motivated brands and retailers to create specialized footwear for each activity and sport. Aerobics was one of the fastest growing forms of exercise in the 1980s, and sneakers with soft leather uppers were popular for this activity. Reebok was one of the most successful at capitalizing on the aerobics trend, with the debut of their soft leather freestyle in 1982, which became one of their best sellers and turned them into one of the most profitable producers of athletic footwear in this decade. Mainstream Rebels highlights how edgy subcultures from the late 1970s had their looks commodified throughout the 1980s. Punks, goths, and new romantics created distinct looks inspired by art schools and underground clubs, rather than trendy high-fashion magazines. Eventually, these styles were commodified and absorbed into the mainstream, partly due to the growing popularity of music videos and MTV, which was founded in 1981. These pointed-toe winkle pickers, also called pikes, were a popular example of goth footwear. Pump It Up spotlights the billion-dollar sneaker industry that exploded in the 1980s and explores how sportswear brands use technological innovation, as well as high-profile partnerships with athletes and musicians to create some of the most sought-after styles of this decade. The first Air Jordan is one of the most successful and profitable partnerships to occur between a footwear brand and professional athlete. At the start of the 1984 season, basketball rookie Michael Jordan wore a prototype of what would become the Air Jordan 1, which caused a controversy as the sneakers' colors were not totally consistent with those of the Chicago Bulls uniforms. It was incorrectly rumored that Jordan was banned from wearing the shoes, but Nike created a multi-million-dollar marketing strategy around this story, advertising the shoes as too hot to handle.
Fortunately, the NBA can't stop you from wearing them.
Overall, it was a plurality of choices rather than a single cohesive style that described fashion in the 80s. The incredible variety of clothing and footwear available to consumers allowed them to play with a multitude of identities and trends, reflecting the fast-paced materialism of this decade.